You're listening to The Comedy Cellar, live from the table on the Glory Hole Radio Network, gloryholeradio.com.
I just want to lick your elbows. Oh.
Is everybody essentially
Is this mic on?
I thought that was going to be my thing, but I don't want to...
I'm married. I have a ring on my finger. I'm going to live
do you know,
vicariously
Robert,
through you and your little wine glass.
Yeah. When Dawn called me the other day, I was so excited. I thought it was going to be about the threesome.
Who called you the other day?
But it was just about the garment.
Ixnay on the threesome, eh? I know it might be a dream, eh? But I still want to fantasize, eh? It's true.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the comedy...
Are we recording?
We're recording.
You call that an introduction?
You gotta fucking delete that.
Did you call that an
introduction? We don't delete anything, you told me. Good evening.
You motherfucker. Wow.
You call that an introduction?
Do you know how many
Can I do the introduction? I'll just do it like as a...
Just hold on with it. Do you know how many great people have been caught talking into a live mic? You know, their careers ended. Would you like to do the introduction?
I would like to do the introduction if I could.
Okay, go ahead.
Did you just call me great?
Okay, go ahead. Don't do an arty, though. Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Comedy Cellar Podcast. And now here's your host, Noam Dorman.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Comedy Cellar Podcast. We're joined today by Dan Naturman. According to Wikipedia, his performing style of grouchiness and self-deprecating humor self-deprecating humor discusses modern topics such as internet dating and terrorism. Dan is a graduate of University of Pennsylvania and Fordham University Law School. He began performing stand-up while at Fordham. He has never practiced law. And Robert Kelly, it says here from Wikipedia, he is good friends and former roommate of Bill Burr.
Is that true?
Does it really say that?
It really says that.
I wrote
Wikipedia entry.
I wrote my Wikipedia entry.
It says Bob Kelly.
I wrote mine.
And nobody, when I die, it'll probably never get updated.
It says Bob Kelly accompanied fellow comedian Colin Quinn to Iraq, where they each performed stand-up for American troops stationed in Baghdad. Kelly claimed on the Opie and Anthony show that while there, he saw a real werewolf.
I did. Honest to God.
Oh, come on.
No, honest to God.
Okay, topic number one. Did Robert Kelly see a werewolf?
Okay, topic number one. Yes. I'm not kidding. Let me tell you the story, and then you tell me what I saw. Okay? What the fuck is that?
He's adding an egg timer.
I just want to see how long it takes.
We have an egg timer?
It's an hour.
Oh, God. You really are Jewish. This has to be precise. I want an egg timer, and I want Kristen next to me to pick the topics.
Werewolf, go.
Okay. In Iraq, in one of Saddam's biggest palaces in Baghdad, driving in a truck with two Marines and an Army guy with Colin and whoever the fuck else was with us. I think it was Steve Byrne. All of a sudden, the truck stops, and it's not supposed to stop at all because it's dangerous to stop because you get fired upon and all that.
Right.
What walks across the road? The reason why we stopped is that a wolf with a man's chest and a wolf fucking head around maybe 4 feet off the ground. It wasn't a wolf. It was tall, had a man's chest, had a wolf's face, walked across, stopped in front of our truck, and then went. And I looked at the Marine next to me and I go, what the fuck was that?
He went, on all fours?
He goes, I have no fucking idea.
Was it a full moon?
No, it was the middle of the day.
That was not a werewolf.
Was it on all fours?
We all know that those... Listen, if you watch True Blood, some of the fucking things aren't true.
We're basing fiction on fiction.
Yeah, you believe everything you see in the werewolf movies?
Of course.
Yeah, it's not. They can come through. They're called. What are they called, Dan? Shapeshifters.
Can you pull up Wikipedia werewolves?
What was it on all fours?
It was a shapeshifter. What is this? What's up with you and Wikipedia? Yes, it was on all fours.
Okay.
You like that? Is that what you like? Because I get on all fours. I go like, ooh.
Okay, all I got to say about that, Robert, is you did not see a werewolf.
Why did the Marine, when I said to the Marine, who's a fucking Marine.
He was kidding.
He wasn't kidding. I looked at him, everybody on the bus. That's Colin Quinn, he was there.
It's a UFO, an unidentified furry object.
And that's why he's fucking Dan Naturman. I tell you what.
But that doesn't mean it's a werewolf.
So when you say werewolf, this is at a different time you would see this guy's a regular guy, and then something triggers it, and he turns into a a wolf.
No,
All
he
I'm
was just
saying,
saying he's
it wasn't a
part man,
wolf,
part
and it
wolf.
wasn't a man,
Right.
but it wasn't just a wolf. You understand what I'm saying? It was a combination of something that I've never seen before.
Arabs are very hairy, you know.
Well, here's the thing. That's just, I didn't say that.
It's racist.
I didn't say
It's
that.
racist.
I'm just saying I didn't
Jews
say
too. That Middle Easterners, they're very hairy. All right, I don't want to kill
As long
time.
as you say Jews too.
You talk. I'm going to read this real quick.
Well,
Go
here's the
ahead.
deal, is that everybody on the truck, nobody said, oh, that's a wolf. When I said, what the fuck is that? The guy next to me who's a Marine, who's seen a lot of shit over there, went, I have no fucking idea.
Oh, so he didn't say it was a werewolf.
He
said
just didn't
had
know
no
what it
idea.
was. Nobody knew what it was. So when they discover that werewolves do exist in Iraq, I don't want to hear you guys come to me and go, hey, you were right. Go fuck yourself, okay? Because I saw a werewolf in Iraq.
All right, here's where you went wrong. First of all, it says the transformation is associated with the full moon. Number
He
one.
wasn't fully transformed.
Well,
Number two, werewolves are often attributed superhuman strength and senses, far beyond those of mortal men.
You know, if George Bush had just explained that we were going into Iraq to fight werewolves,
he would have had so many.
I would have been far more inclined. There's a reason why I didn't back the war. I didn't know there was werewolves. So.
Yeah, see, now you know.
Now, here's where you may have gone wrong. It says shapeshifters, similar to werewolves and often confused for werewolves, are common all over the world,
Right.
most notably amongst Native Americans, though most of them involve animal forms other than wolves.
Well, here's the deal. That I said shapeshifter in my description.
I think it's more likely you saw a werewolf in Iraq than a Native American.
I think
Shapeshifter.
I think it was a shapeshifter. I think you never know. I mean, it could have been one of our soldiers shapeshifting while he was there. I'm not saying it's from there. We could have brought it over.
Are you under the impression, because it seems like you are, that the writers of True Blood
listen to this podcast?
actually base this on stuff that they know is true? Like they made that stuff up, and now
Okay,
you're using that as if that's
you a
the real
question.
standard of werewolf.
Okay, back in the day when they had spacecrafts going to the moon and ships.
You believe
and
that
stuff.
too, huh?
That happened, right?
I don't know. Well, ask Godfrey.
Yo, man, that shit happened. Woo! Wow! Skibbity-bitty! I'm telling you, if you look back at stuff that was fictional 60 years ago, now it's reality. We're actually talking on a device like Captain Kirk.
That's true.
That's crazy shit. Come on.
Okay, that's
all relevant.
that's a great proof of werewolves.
At least we
We're
are.
talking on a device like Captain.
At least
I don't
we are.
talk, I don't talk
All right,
like Captain
Topic
Kirk.
2, Sandusky, Dan Naturman.
Sandusky.
Dan Naturman.
Now, I just had a point to make. I guess you want to talk about. So, how old is Sandusky? He's 67, right?
67.
My point that I wanted to make is, as a child molester, if you can pull off 67 years without getting busted, you win, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh my God.
What's the how old was Hitler when he died?
Hitler was 55, I think. or something
That's
like that.
borderline, right? He might have won too.
Well, I don't want to talk about Hitler.
I don't even know what
I'm just
to
saying
say.
by that line of
But
reasoning.
how long was the
Well, it's
actual?
not as satisfying to catch a guy like Madoff. I had the same feeling with. It's not
Madoff
as-
won.
It's not as satisfying to catch somebody that's old, but like you're a child molester, you pull off 67 years of young boys. You know,
How
you
old
got
was
to be
he
thinking.
when this allegedly started, though?
Well, we know that he was doing it. I think for 20
Not
years.
full 67 years.
So it matters that
Well,
it's,
actually,
it's
Well,
not a
it's
full.
relative.
Kristen brings up an interesting question.
I'm saying if you only start at 55, then
If
But
you're-
that's what we know of. But these guys usually start earlier.
Wait, Dan.
You don't start banging a kid in the shower at 55. And
you
and
start
you're doing
when you
nothing.
have access to the pool of people.
Yeah, but I think when they catch you in the shower with a young boy, you know you're already
not your
you're already
first time,
20
is what
years
you're
in by
saying.
then
That's what
because
you're telling me.
you jerks that got a
Shower
couple of
time's not
hand
your
jobs. You're doing full on anal in the shower.
I mean, you can't come in at 55 and start diddling. You need a little sex appeal to get into your groove, to get your
Took him
mojo.
15.
That's going to
like
bring you
seeing
into your
when
50s.
you see a guy on stage here at the Cellar and he's killing. You know he's 15 years in,
Not necessarily.
No.
10 years in when he's crushing
You
downstairs.
see people 10 years in that bomb.
Chappelle,
No, but I'm saying when
Chappelle
you
was
see
crushing
a
after
dude
a few weeks.
that's
Oh, stop.
crushing,
He was.
and I'm saying Sandusky was killing.
So you're saying
in
success
his
as a
Met Jet.
pedophile.
I have a
is
question
inborn.
about this.
Well, I'm saying it took him a few years to build up to the shower.
A
I
young
think.
a young
My
Sandusky, a 16 or 17-year-old Sandusky.
Yeah.
Is he attracted to young boys? Is that,
No.
or do you have to get to a certain age before it kicks in?
No, you can be
So I'm
young
saying,
and
I think it's
attracted
like
to
a
boys.
dormant gene.
So you're attracted to young. You're attracted to boys. So maybe it's like an Arrested Development. You're
That's
homosexual.
a good show. I wish they bring that back.
You're attracted to young boys your own age, and then as you get older, what you're attracted to never changes, and then all of a sudden you become a child molester. Is that how it works?
I don't know
saying
how
he's
it
gay?
works. We check on Wikipedia. That seems to be your go-to.
Go Google Wikipedia that. See the FBI come to your computer.
Tom,
no, don't do that. We can figure it out. We don't need that shit.
That's an interesting
Wikipedia.
question. I don't know.
I
You're asking the wrong person, obviously.
I have a theory.
Go ahead.
I have a theory. Do I turn the egg timer now?
Turn that
You can,
timer
yeah.
on.
I have a theory on.
egg
I have a
timer.
theory on child molestations.
Molestations,
That's
yes.
what I call them.
Yeah.
I make up words. I have a theory that men who go with she-males who are straight. We were talking about that last week, where it's easier because they're dudes, but they're hot dudes, and their self-esteem is a little lower, and they'll go with you. I think that guys, once you break that seal, I think kids are more for guys at that age are more manipulatable. You can manipulate them and get them
Malleable. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
More easily manipulated.
More
Go
easy.
ahead, Robert.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think that it's easier for them. And once you break that seal, once you do something sexually that's taboo or fucked
Can
up,
you not use break that seal?
once you do something taboo, you can't go back. You can't go. It's so hard to go back. Once you do a little crazy shit, and once you I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying once you go down that road and you allow yourself to do that, you can't go back. And those guys, I think it's easy for them, and I think it's once they do it once, you can't stop.
What would be some of those taboos that once broken is hard to stop doing?
When you get a hooker.
In your experience.
All right, when you get a hooker. When you go to a massage parlor, like a massage parlor. I know guys who've never been to a massage parlor, and then all of a sudden I'll take them, or I took them a long time ago, before I was married.
Yeah. We assume that. Go ahead.
This podcast is dangerous. And you take them, and all of a sudden they go ballistic. It's like they've been going for years. They can't stop. Want to go. It's like, dude, relax. Chill the hell out. Once you break that, once you get them into it and get them to do it one time, they'll do it all the time. And hookers, another thing. Like, look, I had to stop going to hookers because I went and I was like, oh my God, this is great. I can finally just get sex whenever I want it, and whatever sex I want, and for a certain price, and then I can go home and not have to deal with that fucking person. To stop doing that was really hard. Really hard.
It's funny that you don't care if your wife hears.
What? Well, look, here's the deal. I think that...
But do you think there's a level of, I mean, let's just put it on the table. Having sex with children is wrong.
Absolutely.
I mean, having sex with a prostitute...
It's wrong to everybody, except for the guys who do it, because they allowed themselves to think it's right for some reason. Okay. It's like people who kill. We know it's wrong, but for some reason, something in their brain goes, it's okay to start killing people.
But what I'm saying is, what's the line? Where do you... what brings a person... No.
Oh, sorry.
What brings a person from the level of fetish of, okay, I've had sex with a tranny, I've had sex with a prostitute, and now all of a sudden you've done everything, so why does your mind go to little boys?
It's easy.
Well, nobody said that it goes to little boys after you've done all that.
No, I don't say you. It's not you here, and then you wind up here. It's that any
or
one
rather,
of these.
Why does it go to little boys as opposed to one of these others?
Look, we're supposed to say, and I think it has to do with gay too. I don't know. I think that's when you repress somebody like the priests. When you press them, you can't have sex with anybody. You have to take a vow. I think it kind of, especially if they're gay and they like men, and then they're, I think little boys, all of a sudden they're right there. It's kind of easy.
Okay.
Well, I just want to bring in one other thing about this.
We're getting the light. We need to wrap this one up. Go
about
ahead.
Sandusky.
Yeah, this is getting
because
weird.
no one once said this, actually. You said...
I like little boys. I heard him say that.
Yeah, you did, right? I heard that
I said
too.
I like little boys?
No. You once said a man
drunk.
is only as faithful as his options.
No, that was Chris Rock that said that.
Okay, well then no one reiterated
A lot of people make that mistake.
A lot of people.
Nobody makes that
Actually,
mistake.
I think Chris heard it from me. I've said that too.
Well, but I don't agree with it. That's the case at all, because I don't believe. For example, I don't know if you want to get into this too deeply, but what about Paul McCartney? Was he? I mean, he had every option in the world.
So clearly he wasn't faithful.
Well, but it
He
seems
claims
like
he was.
Well, he was. I think he was
Paul
reasonably.
McCartney?
It's hard to cover up. If he was banging left and right, you'd know about it.
Did you say Paul McCartney?
Paul McCartney, yeah.
He's not even the real Paul McCartney.
What are you talking?
He died in '68.
He died in '68 in a car crash.
Oh, all right.
Honest to God, he's not the real Paul.
Listen, this is the problem with generalizing because there's always some weird exception.
No,
to
but
the
I don't
rule.
believe that a man. I mean, like if you look at a guy like DC Benny, he's a handsome guy. It's a friend of ours who's a comedian. Well, but he's married and he doesn't cheat. I'm telling you, he doesn't cheat, and he's a good-looking guy. He could cheat.
Guys like that, I figure they have some kind of STD that they're afraid of
And what about
passing
Pete
on.
Correale? You tell me he can't bang?
Pete Correale no. Pete Correale can bang, and he doesn't. He's just that guy. There are those. It's certain personalities.
Okay, hold on. You say he doesn't bang other women. Maybe so. Are you saying when he's on the road, year in, year out, he never gets a massage, he never goes to a hooker? Never. I don't bug him.
No, he has other things that he does. He maybe he smokes cigarettes or smokes a little weed or drinks a little too much or whatever.
Sex with boys.
Yeah, well, he does not. Stop that.
Okay.
Sleeping with boys is wrong. Let me flip the
Yeah.
coin.
Can we change?
Let's just wait.
It's
wait
wrong. It's wrong, but is it cheating? Anyway.
Can we change the topic?
Please,
here?
you fucking homo.
I have a hygiene question.
Yes.
I've wondered this for a long time. Why is it that men are supposed to wash their hands after they urinate?
No, that's not the question.
And number two, well, and the related question is, isn't it more hygienic when you use a public restroom to urinate, don't touch anything, don't wash your hands, and just leave, than to actually flush the toilet, put it on the faucet,
now you're
turn off the
advocating
faucet?
leaving the toilet unflushed in addition to not washing
Well,
your
it's a
hands.
urinal. It's not so bad.
Right.
What do you think?
Everyone
Explain it to me.
Well, it's probably is more hygienic to simply not touch anything. I would imagine, Then I mean, urine is supposed to be antiseptic, isn't it? People say that if you
And
pee
urine's
on your,
Well,
it's
Yeah, yeah.
anti-Semitic. What was the word I'm looking for?
Kristen's the word
Sterile.
of the show.
Sterile. Because I hear if you're in-
sterile like Bob.
You gotta let.
I mean, do we have to? Bob, I'm going to side with you on this.
The
one.
reason why that's not as funny to everybody listening because we had that conversation off the podcast.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So you tell me
He's not really sterile.
Oh, he's not sterile.
He has the test scores to show it. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I was told that if you pee in the shower, you don't get athlete's foot because it's actually is the word antiseptic?
and especially if it's in your girlfriend's mouth.
Oh, God.
Well,
that cures athletes.
That's actually the question, because if it's so horrible to not wash your hands after you touch your dick, then a girl gives you a sexual favor, God forbid, a blowjob. I mean, is she taking her life in her hands when she gives you a blowjob?
No one is saying that. The problem is that you can't put up a sign in a bathroom that specifies, to people, to men, you don't have to wash your hands after you pee, but after you take a shit, you do. You have to say wash your hands after you use the bathroom.
You can't
which
just
is a situation.
say.
If you're wiping
you
your
can't
ass,
have.
you need to
If you
wash your
dropped a
hands.
deuce, wash
you
your hands.
have to wash your hands.
Okay,
Nobody's
so
gonna
then
differentiate
now
between the two.
you're in a public restroom.
Yes,
You're
you're
the
sucking a guy off.
There's a hole in the wall.
You're the only guy in the restroom.
Yes.
So no one's gonna be looking at you and judging you and say he didn't wash his hands.
Jim Norton doing the penguin walk from another stall.
You pee.
Yes.
Do you wash your hands when nobody's looking?
Never do.
When nobody,
don't?
I never
when
wash.
no one's looking, I would usually be a little less thorough if no one's looking.
I don't wash my hands even if someone's looking. I don't wash my hands.
Because you don't want to touch. Because people who defecate, they touch
First
those
of all,
faucets.
you're kind of quoting a Carlin joke. He had a joke.
I think he took it from me.
He said that I should wash my dick because my hands have been touching every dirty fucking thing on the way to the bathroom. My dick hasn't touched anything in months. It's the cleanest thing on my body. You know what I mean? My dick really, it's not dirty. If I tinkle on my hand by accident, I'll wash my hand.
How do you tinkle on your hand by accident?
Because my dick is small.
Okay.
Another 20-point bonus question. Follow-up question. Follow-up question.
It's average.
Follow-up question. Follow-up question. You masturbate. Do you take a shower before going out to do a spot at the Comedy Cellar?
No. No, you're nuts. No.
Why would you?
Wait a minute. You asking, do we wipe up the jizz off my belly? Because I don't do that either.
Do you wash your penis afterwards?
Do you? Yes, you do.
Typically, I do. Typically, I do. I don't want to go out with a lotioned up. The off chance that me and Montel hook up, I don't want to have lotion penis.
Can I ask you a question?
You're gonna need all the lube you can get.
You don't want her to have cocoa butter mouth.
I prefer not to.
Let me ask you a question. You use lotion all the time when you masturbate?
I would say 70%. Yeah.
I use lotion. I use lotion 0% of the time.
What do you use? The pre-ejaculate liquid?
I take a boom, 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 boom.
He has baby soft hands, though.
I do. You do too.
Sometimes pre-ejaculate liquid will suffice.
I don't have. You know what?
No, I can't use I
don't have pre-ejaculate.
What?
I don't have pre-ejaculate.
Were you talking to the microphone?
I don't have pre-ejaculate.
Why?
I don't know why. Is something wrong with me?
You're lying.
I'm not lying.
How do you know you don't have pre-jizz? Do you know what pre-jizz is?
Yeah, it's jizz that comes out before you jizz, right?
It's the jizz before the jizz.
It's the opening act for the jizz.
No, I've never had that.
It's the Artie Fuqua of the jizz.
The first time I see jizz is when it's a gusher.
Well, that's hard to believe because you're the only one then.
It's like striking oil.
First of all, you don't get to see that, okay?
I'm telling you, I've asked girls.
You have it.
Well,
you have it. Larry Bird always dribbles before he shoots.
We'll have to wait till tune in next week when my wife is here and we'll find out. Okay, I want to talk about...
That's actually a good topic, I think.
Can we talk about something else?
I'm switching the time. This doesn't... This is useless,
I'm on my third port wine, by the way.
We should be playing Monopoly.
Keep the port wine coming for Naturman. He gets funnier.
I must confess that Montel looks even better after a couple of photos.
Oh, my God.
Is that on topic now?
I tell you this. I always thought Montella was cute.
I like that he calls her by her last name.
Why does this always come down to me?
If you guys hook up, I will fucking love life. If you hook up with Naturman, I will love life.
Why will you love life?
Because Naturman deserves a little piece of Montel, right? A little piece
Well,
of
if we're talking about deserve, unfortunately, life doesn't work that way. I deserve a lot of things. If we're talking about deserve, yeah, obviously.
I think he deserves it. I think
Robert.
he deserves.
Oh, he deserves it. I must really deserve it.
You deserve nothing.
All right, I have a question. This is something I've been thinking a lot about lately. You know, I'm a boss and I have friends and I deal with.
Wait a minute. Let's just stop at boss.
I have employees.
Yeah, you have employees, and that's it. Stop with the friends.
I have friends. I think they're my friends.
You have a friend.
And I deal. And I have a friend. I have a wife. And I deal. And I deal with comedians who are not employees, but they work at the club. Yeah. And I get all day phone calls, emails, and text messages. Yeah. And I feel a certain demand from each one. And I feel like there has no standard etiquette has emerged. How long before you have to answer a text message? Should you text message certain things? What should you and should you not text message? If you quit, is it okay to quit through text? Do you have to call your boss? What any thoughts on all this?
Am I the only one? Text-etiquette.
I will typically text back as soon as practical. After the initial text, unless I'm trying to avoid the person.
Right.
Then you don't text back. But actually, a girl texted me once 5 times in a night, with each text getting more and more psycho bitch. So that the first text was, "Where are you?" This was a girl I had hooked up with in the past, and I had to let her down easy, that I wasn't interested in a relationship. And then so we got a text, and the first text was, I'm coming over. The second text was, I give you everything and you shit on it. The third text was, fuck you. The fourth text was, by the way, I fucked somebody else last week.
That's true.
Wow.
And then the fifth text was the next day, and she said, I'm sorry, I was I was being an idiot, or something like that. But in any case,
is that the end of that story?
That's the end of the story.
So, go ahead.
I'm not sure if it was a good story.
So you didn't respond
at least
to any
as good
of
as the
those
werewolf story.
No, I think it was good. I
didn't respond to the text.
I think that, first of all, the way you handle your phone and your communication with your technology, where we are in 2012, I would say now, is fucking ridiculous. You should have a pager. You shouldn't even have a phone because you don't answer your fucking phone.
I answer my phone.
No, the phone goes.
Gnome specifically.
The gnome specifically will not answer his phone. It says the best way to reach me is to text me. You have to text him for him to call you back.
And then you get a text that says, I'm driving right now.
Yeah, the auto reply that says, I'm driving right now, which what the fuck does that mean?
Everybody should go to drivesafe.ly. That's a fantastic program for your BlackBerry, iPhone, or Android.
I think texting, generally speaking, if it's normally you just if I texted you, you can answer whenever you want. Right. But if I text Montella and she doesn't answer within 5 minutes, I'll start to panic. I think, oh, she thinks I'm a creep. And then I send another text. Oh, I wasn't being creepy. I just wanted to say hi. And then she doesn't answer that. And then I panic again.
You don't do it from the second floor window on a fucking cherry picker, Dan. If you want to say hi, you ring the doorbell.
I have a musician.
Then I say, I'm masturbating. What are you wearing? And she doesn't answer.
She'd have that auto reply. I'm masturbating.
She doesn't answer back.
I had to get a job at Time Warner to jerk off to you through your window.
I have a musician who works for me, who I regard as a very classy guy because.
Wait, which musician?
I don't say he knows.
Whether it doesn't matter, whether it's Elon or.
And the honesty dies there.
I'm just wondering how
Colin Smith.
classic.
Why would you say his name? Why would you do that? I was kidding.
But he's a classy guy.
Yeah, I'm curious what he.
But this is what happens. Whenever I see his number, whenever he's calling me, my heart stops and I know the reason why. Because I know he's got class, so if he has bad news to deliver to me, he won't text me. Yeah. He'll feel that honor dictates a phone call.
Yeah, I feel that honor, friendship dictates you answer the fucking phone.
I do answer the phone.
Now you do because I yell at you.
First of all, I'm a little hard of hearing. I don't like to talk on the phone.
Oh, you didn't know that?
Yeah. There's a lot of things you don't know about me.
You're lying.
I am hard of hearing. I do talk on the phone with Kristen, but I'm hard of hearing.
He talks to me.
He talks to me on the phone now too.
I talk to Robert.
Yeah, a little bit. But you don't answer me all the time, which I understand.
I answer you more than anybody else in my life. And let me tell you something else. I do not screen your calls. If I don't answer you, it's because I didn't see it or I'm not answering the phone.
Right. But here's how.
Very few people I can say that about. Well, I will not screen a Robert Kelly call.
Okay, here's the deal. When I call you, and if you don't pick up, if it's not vital, I won't call back or I won't text you. If it's something that I can wait, I won't. But if it's something I will text you and say, hey, I need to talk to you about something.
But I will say that some people, you just happen to be a phone person. You like talking on the phone.
I'm a techie guy.
But a techie would not use the phone.
A techie would text.
A techie does it all. A techie does. I do photos. I do videos. I'll send videos, text.
Skype me.
But I'm saying interpersonal communication. You like to use the phone. You call me as opposed to texting most of the time.
Well, I just think
you like the phone.
I like to talk. I like to talk because texting is a little. But now it's the new Siri. It's actually easy to text.
Okay. So have we established any kind of etiquette here? Email is for communication that you don't need an immediate answer.
The etiquette depends on the relationship. If it's a romantic relationship, you can tell where you're at with a girl by how quick she texts back. A girl that likes you texts back immediately.
Okay.
Wait, but I just want. Can I weigh in on
unless they're figuring, well, I don't want him to know that I like him too much, so I'm going to wait a little bit.
She wants to weigh in.
I want to weigh in.
You should ask Greg.
The only what I want to say about texting with relationships is that I think sometimes it's good, like when you're in a fight, even though it seems juvenile and immature, because it allows, there's no interruption. So it allows you to say what you want to say and allows the other person to respond without you cutting him or her off.
It allows what you say.
So there is kind of
we're joined by Gregg Rogell.
Hey, Greg.
Can we bring up Gregg Rogell's Wikipedia page, please?
I don't know that he has.
Print out Gregg Rogell's Wikipedia page.
Does Greg have a Wikipedia page?
It says I'm very funny.
So you agree that if you text somebody, I'd say if you don't get an answer after an hour, chances are they've seen the text and have chosen not to answer you. Is that correct?
In an hour.
Well, either that or they're
2011. They saw the text within 7 seconds.
They could be sleeping.
They're going to be sleeping.
To give them the benefit of the doubt.
They could be on an aircraft. They could be on a plane.
No, you would know that. But leaving aside, in a hospital, they could be dead. But leaving aside,
generally speaking, I would say that 99% of the time, yes, that's correct.
So I feel like a text needs to be answered within an hour, an email needs to be answered within 24 hours, and a phone message also within 24 hours. Bad news only goes through a phone call. A text message should only be positive compliments and every matter-of-fact things. And emails is when you have to give an explanation for something, you don't want to do it on the phone. How's that? That's how I run my life. Okay.
Yeah, I think I walked into a really boring conversation.
All right, well, let's talk about Occupation Wall Street.
Well, then we could talk about
let's
something.
talk about that.
Let's talk about.
I have very little to say about it, but I'm sure Gregg has quite a bit to say.
Greg was telling me about the UC Davis video, which I haven't seen. Is UC Davis? Is that right?
Yeah.
I haven't seen all the videos. Why don't you tell me about it?
Tell you about what happened?
Tell about the video and then.
Well, I just think that if you watch the entire video, you could see that the students, it was far from being an unruly mob. You know, these students, they were on their own quad in their own campus. They were protesting peacefully, and the cops acted like animals. And if you watch the next 10 minutes of the video, the kids really handled themselves in a really mature and responsible way. Martin Luther King would have been proud of these kids. I mean, you didn't even hear one of them curse. You know, they were. It was very well organized. The kids had a very clear message. They were protesting the tuition fees, which keep going up. They're not going to have any job. They're going to have less job opportunities getting out of college, and they have the right to protest. They were on their own quad, and they were attacked by police officers.
Gregg Rogell does indeed have a Wikipedia page. It's a little Spartan, I dare say. Professional comedian who resides in New York. Gregg, did you write this?
What?
Did you write your Wikipedia page?
No one put it up there. And it probably
I didn't.
Horrible.
He has his own half-hour special and was featured in the movie The Aristocrats, a regular performer at the Cellar. Did you write that?
No, I did not write. I've never written a Wikipedia page. All right, so here's my. So the UC Davis people were not Occupy Wall Streeters?
Well, they were, but they had a specific.
They were more concerned about tuition than about Wall Street.
That was one of their main issue. Their main issue was definitely the rising tuition fee.
All right, Gregg and I had an argument before because I felt that although obviously the police are 100% wrong, that the police are right that people can't take over parks indefinitely, can't pitch tents.
How are they going to get their voices heard?
Greg,
unless they're disruptive, how are they going to get their voices heard? I mean, that's the basis of protest. You know, I mean,
you protest.
You could stay within the lines and protest, and nobody cares. The fact of the matter is, nobody would be even talking about this if they weren't disruptive. Was
this civil disobedience?
And they really not even
civil disobedience. You're supposed to be ready to go to jail.
This has been and they are, but it's worse than that because they're getting maced. They had all their laptops were all confiscated when Bloomberg had his little surprise attack at 3 a.m, and they have photos that they're putting up on the internet. They broke all of their laptops with baseball bats. They crushed a ton. They had pictures of all these laptops put side by side on the west side, and they broke all of them. I mean, what is that American?
No,
not at all. It's disgusting. I think Bloomberg's acting like a thug, and this UC Davis wouldn't have happened because they took their cue from Bloomberg, who sent in the cops to remove these tents.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
I think you're right.
And it was disgusting the way they responded.
So you're saying that the campus police at UC Davis wouldn't have responded in the same way had they not had...
If they hadn't taken their cue from what Bloomberg had done. You know, and the fact of the matter is, these people do have a gripe. You know, the politicians are in the pocket of these Wall Street bankers who packaged up these horrible mortgage-backed securities. Then they sold them. They made commissions on all of them. And then when the bubble started to burst, they continued to sell these securities, continued to make commissions, just so they can bet against them, so they can make even more money. And then when their companies were going under, but these guys were still lining their pockets. Their personal bank accounts were going up while these companies were going under. And then they convinced the politicians, because they have them all in their pockets, to give them the money back. And then they took them, they got bailed out, they kept the money, they paid themselves these giant bonuses, and now they're turning around and saying, I don't want to pay a penny more in taxes. Take it from grandma's Social Security check. And and that's what these people are complaining about. And people say, that they don't, it's very unorganized. They don't know what issues they really want to focus on. It's because there are a lot of issues that need to be focused on.
All right, but so you think they should be able to pitch tents and take over a public park indefinitely?
No, I think they should be allowed to protest without being attacked and raided at 3 a.m. by the cops.
Okay, but just
and I'll tell you something. Can you clean up a park without stealing their laptops?
Yes, absolutely.
But they didn't.
Okay, but I'm just asking you.
If the police and Bloomberg acted more responsibly, then maybe it would have been a different outcome. But they acted like animals. And the fact of the matter is, and especially on the UC Davis campus, there were about 25 students that were protesting, and the rest of the students were just spectators. There were 200 spectators, and as soon as the cops acted like a bunch of gorillas, all of a sudden these spectators joined the movement. So the more, Bloomberg's actually working for the movement because more people are joining it because they're disgusted by the way he responded to it and the way these other cops responded in Oakland. They shot somebody in the head with a tear gas canister and cracked his skull. What the hell?
Actually, I heard today on MSNBC radio or something that some cops, there was a girl trying to escape one of these protests, and she said, "I'm pregnant. I'm just trying to get out of here." One cop punched her in the stomach. Another cop billy clubbed her in the stomach. A third cop, I don't know if it's true, a third cop maced her. This was a couple days, and today
this wasn't a Three Stooges episode?
And today she had a miscarriage.
Oh my God. That's horrible. That's fucking horrible.
Nevertheless, I don't think they should be able to take over the park. And as I said to you before,
so where should they go? I mean, actually, if they're not in a park, would you rather they be on the Brooklyn Bridge?
I think they can protest in the park during the day.
Oh, God.
But if you have an open-ended agenda, we're occupying for the foreseeable future. No, that's anarchy. A city can't allow that. And as I said to you, if it was a Klan or the Nazis protesting, and they have a right to protest too, you wouldn't say, "Oh no, let them stay. They have a right to stay."
It's not the Klan.
No, it's not. But the point is that
you can't base it on what their argument is.
You can't say that.
You can't. But the point is that you can't base it on their position.
This has been going on since 2008. 99% of the public's been getting screwed over by the top 1%. Now it's been going on longer than that, but since 2008. I mean, in 2008, there was literally a coup where the banks aligned with the politicians and they got all their money back, and everybody else is getting screwed. Countries are going under. Greece is on the brink of bankruptcy because it's what some douchebag on Wall Street did. And when they turn around and say, "No, you know what we're going to do is we're just going to take away the benefits from all the Greece, from all the citizens of fucking Greece." It's bullshit. They didn't start this problem.
I don't agree, but we're going on to.
Do you think the union started this problem? Do you think teachers' pensions caused this problem? This problem was started on Wall Street.
I think the problem has to do with globalization and outsourcing.
Do you think Congress has Congress should be allowed to get involved in insider trading? Because they pass legislation and they can go and they can buy stocks on what they just did.
Of course not.
It's disgusting, but they do.
But I don't think
it's legal. But they're legally allowed to.
Greg, but if they didn't do it, I don't think the working Joe would be any better off. The working Joe is out of the working
because the politicians, as soon as they leave politics, they go and they work for these banks.
The working Joe is messed up because his job, which used to be done in this country, is now done at 1/2 or even 1/10 the price overseas, and there's nothing left for him to do, and nobody knows the answer to that question.
This economy is teetering because of what happened in 2008.
We really don't have the expertise.
No, we do.
What the hell do we know about people? People get PhDs in this stuff. They don't know.
This country's $1 trillion in debt. They gave $1 trillion to the banks.
Can we bring to the next topic? The topic is therapy. Does it work or is it just a charade?
It didn't work for me. I'm pissed.
I think Robert, I think you should join us too. Just come without the headphones. We're talking about therapy. Come on. So,
well, that says a lot about Robert, huh?
My wife and I have been going to family therapy lately to deal with our son, and the therapist we're seeing is. And we've been doing this for years and years and years. And the therapist is a great guy. I actually, most of them are dummies, but he usually takes my side, and I think he's a sensible guy. Question is, I don't see any benefits from it. Does it actually work?
You know what, man? Let me tell you, the type of person you are. You're a unique. I'm going to say unique individual instead of fucking weird cocksucker.
That girl has a nice personality.
Okay, you are. You're weird. You have issues. You're a fucking narcissist. You're a fucking egomaniac. Okay, you're a control freak. And I'm not saying that I'm not. I have all these stupid things, but I'm aware of it. You're not aware of your fucking problems. And the only way you become aware of it is by getting beaten down.
Has therapy helped you?
Absolutely.
In what ways?
Absolutely. I'm a better person to myself. I don't have shit people in my life anymore. I don't fucking beat people up. I don't want to fight people except for that guy when he stepped on my foot a couple minutes ago.
And the guy a few weeks ago, the customer in the Comedy Cellar.
When was that? It was last year. It was a year ago.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, but he attacked me. He actually came up to me and physically laid hands on me.
Oh, that was unfair. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, no, but you bring that up like you bring that up like that was me. Somebody actually physically touched me. I should actually hate you for having shitty bouncers for having your comics getting hit.
Did he hit you?
Yes.
And where did it make you feel?
All right, we're talking about
It actually hurt my feelings.
All right, first of all, my therapist, he divulges.
You get a fucking medal.
He divulges confidentiality, and he doesn't think I'm realizing that he's like he says to me.
Is he Jewish?
I think he's Jewish.
Yeah,
they're all Jewish.
Not black.
We're chatty people.
He says to me, "Do you know so and so?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I know them really well." I said, "Why?" He goes, "Oh, nothing."
Who do you see? Here's the thing.
This is true.
How do you not know if your therapist is Jewish?
Because he has a weird accent that's hard
But
to...
why wouldn't you ask?
Because it's irrelevant, Dan. Of course.
The hell it is irrelevant.
Question.
You don't want somebody looking at you.
His name is Jamal Weinberg. Very confusing.
First of all, it's not my therapist. We go to family therapy because...
I have two criteria. If I go to see a therapist, I got two criteria. He's got to be Jewish and he's got to be straight. He's got to be straight.
Why straight?
I don't want somebody that I talk about women. He's like, well, why? I mean, and he's looking at me like, well, why would you want that?
First of all, are you afraid you're going to get hit on by a...
No, I want somebody who thinks like me, and I don't want some guy looking at me like this. Would this Jew shut his mouth?
We all look at you like that.
All right, but I don't want my therapist.
I'm looking at you like that.
Yeah, but
right
I don't
now.
want a therapist looking at me like I'm embarrassed because I'm thinking if I say something, he might say, ugh, typical Jew.
Here's the thing.
Another Jew's not going to say
Ex-nay on the Nazi therapist.
Go ahead, Robert.
Well, I want somebody who can think as much like me as possible. Wouldn't that be a legitimate criteria for a therapist?
Therapists are like doctors. And this is what when I had my knee surgery like 5 years ago, I thought all doctors are the same. You took an oath, you went to fucking med school, you became a doctor. It's not. There's shitty doctors out there. I had a doctor that fucked my knee up. I went and got the best doctor, and he did the right thing by me and told me that I got a shitty doctor. I didn't know they existed. Therapists are the same way. I went to a couple therapists that were shitty until I found the guy that actually, I was like, you get me. You know, you're good for me. It took me a year and a half. So you might be going to you can't just go to the first therapist and because he's a therapist, just keep going to him. If he doesn't work for you, if he makes you feel uncomfortable, you got to go, I'm done with you, and move the fuck on. Because these guys are weird too. They're creeps. There's some of them out there, but they're human, bro. We're all human. Do you think every club owner is a nice guy like you?
Go ahead, Robert. Go ahead.
Now you can continue.
So glad you got that.
Wait, your therapist has an accent and you didn't think to ask him, where the hell's that accent from?
I felt like if he's not Jewish, that it would put him.
He's not a good therapist.
I don't want to say I'm Iranian. Then have to read.
Well, but your therapist has an accent.
Care.
You don't think to say, where the hell are you from?
He's got a weird accent. You can come with us. You'll hear his accent. Maybe I'll try.
But how are you not curious? Like, where the hell are you from, dude?
Maybe one of his symptoms isn't paranoia.
All right, you know what? I'm going to ask him. Where he's from. The previous.
How do you know he didn't get his degree at the University of Kuwait? Some foreign weird university.
The previous family therapist we had, we went to see her for a few years, and the last session we had with her ended with her giving me a foot massage and telling me, "Oh my God, you really seem like you have a lot of stress." I also study reflexology, and she started massaging my foot. And my wife freaked out, started crying. We're leaving, and that was the last time we saw that.
Oh, you should have waited for the happy ending, my friend.
Okay, which brings us to a new topic.
Wait a minute,
We're going to continue it. 1 second. We have a new feature here. Dan,
I want to hear about you being molested by your...
Listen, the cameras are rolling. Dan, what the hell's the matter with you?
Dan's on his 6th drink here.
Don't worry about your spot.
You're talking to the owner.
We have a new feature here at our podcast.
I don't want to miss my spot.
It's called Dear Dan, and people write in their email questions to Dan at relationship advice and such, and therapy advice.
Well, relationship advice.
If you have questions, write them into podcast@comedycellar.com. We have one question today. It says,
who wrote this question?
I don't know.
I'm guessing you wrote the question.
I didn't write the question.
What's the email again?
I can't say the email address, but they didn't leave a name, but we do have the email address.
All right, go ahead.
Dear Dan.
That's better.
I am a happily married man with a beautiful wife at home. I spend a lot of time on the road touring. Young, hot girls are constantly propositioning me. In all honesty, my wife would never find out if anything happened. Oh, it's perfect for what we're talking. I want to stay faithful to my wife, but on the other hand, what should I do?
Well, a young Dan Naturman would have said that you got to be faithful because you made a vow. But the more I have no personal experience with long-term relationships, but I have common sense, and I think you got to. I think that if you Yeah, why? Okay.
Don't worry about that, Dan.
All right, sorry. I think as I get older and I talk to people, I think that cheating, if the wife doesn't find out about it, might be the only way to go to preserve a relationship. I just feel that it's possible to cheat and still love your wife, and yet still bang a young hot piece of ass if it comes up.
And if a therapist gave you that advice, you would think he was a good therapist or a bad therapist?
If a therapist gave me that advice,
therapist would never give you that advice.
I don't know if a therapist would ever give me that advice, but as I said, the older I get, the more I'm wondering. Like maybe men and women just can never be made to see eye to eye on this issue. Women will never understand, and I think men have to do what they have to do.
Right. You agree with him, Robert?
Robert, any thoughts?
I absolutely don't agree with him.
Well, Robert,
Greg,
I think
let's ask a non-married man. Go ahead. Greg?
Yeah, no, I disagree with that. That's why I don't get married.
You think you should be faithful?
No, I think that I'm not going to get married. Yeah, you should be faithful if you're going to get married. That's why I'm not getting married. I did 7 years, but we didn't get married, and thank God, because I'd be paying alimony.
Well, I think if you can't be faithful, but you might be a good husband, and again, I haven't studied the issue, but I think it's possible to cheat now and then and still be a good husband. I think that can be done.
Dan's hard.
I don't disagree with that, but I don't agree with it.
Okay.
I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. No,
I understand.
I don't disagree.
I understand because you winked your eye, so I really do understand.
I don't think women would agree with that.
Well, women wouldn't, but therein lies the problem, because women and men are not going to see eye to eye on this issue.
I want to go down on Kristen. Oh, shit. Did that just come out?
Which brings us, we have one more question.
No, I don't think you weighed in on that very question.
I think you should be faithful to your wife.
Okay, yes, you think you should be.
So the two married guys say you should be faithful.
Listen, that was a bad question. I should have edited because you don't know anything about that. Here's one you might do better with.
All right.
This is from Sleepless. He says, I am 25-year-old male. I am still virgin.
Well, where's he from?
Is he a therapist?
I am currently...
Is he American Indian?
Let me finish, maybe.
How?
It says actually how.
My reservation has many beautiful
I am 25-year-old man. I am still virgin. I am currently seeing...
I do Geico commercials.
Beautiful Russian student. I want to have sex with her.
Yes,
I'm 25.
Okay. 25-year-old virgin.
He's a 25-year-old.
I was a 25-year-old who had only had sex with one person, so I wasn't far off.
And that person was Dan Naturman.
How old were you when you lost your virginity?
I was 21 when I lost my virginity to an Asian massage parlor lady who did more than massages. Apparently.
It was a rape too.
And did she offer it to you, or you offered her money?
She told me, and I quote, $30 hand, $50 mouth, $100 full service.
What'd you get?
I got full service.
What's full service?
They clean the car.
Full service is when you lose your virginity.
She got on top of you?
I got on top of her.
Oh my God. You let her fuck you?
I got on top of her.
To your penthouse. You'll never believe
on top
it.
of her.
Yes, I got on top of her.
Did you you bury your face in her shoulder and pump away?
I don't recall the specifics.
How long?
Suffice it to say, it was a not very satisfactory experience.
How long was it, you think?
It wasn't terribly long. I would say about 3 to 4 minutes.
Stop me.
3 to 4 minutes?
3 to 4 minutes?
For your first time? That's impressive. It's a lie.
I don't know, but I was wearing a cup. Well, who remembers, man?
I do. Tawny Quinn in the bushes, Dickie Clark and Scott Kelly watching, giving me advice. And I was pumping. I banged her on a Dunlop red windbreaker with the pocket in the front that my mother just gave me. Yeah. She told me not to because she's a spitter. And I didn't know what a spitter was after her vagina spit all the jizz all over my coat. I had to throw it away. My mother wound up giving me shit.
Porno Rain Man.
Anyway, the point is at 25. The point is at 25. Much like this gentleman, I had never had sex.
I get nothing
other than a paid-for experience. It was 27 when I had my first non-paid-for experience.
Wow.
That's correct.
What was his name?
And not because you didn't. I'm sure you had options before that.
Oh no, I did not. Well, I mean, if I did, I didn't know about them. I was very, very unsure of myself.
You never even got to have active sex during that period in your life when you could get it like a constant erection. Do it 6-7 times in a night. Never have to worry. You skipped that whole period.
I skipped that period. Yeah, I had my first kiss was 24 years old. No, that's correct. Wow. You heard right.
Wow.
You heard right. I was in law school at the time.
I was a troubled child. I was like 12 the first time I had sex with a girl.
12?
Yeah, and I've had 2 menage a trois when I was 15 years old. Wow. I went to camp.
Well, I went to camp too.
Yeah, but you went to a shitty camp apparently.
Because who menage a trois?
I had better sex before 18. I think the best sex of my life was when I was probably about.
Tell us. I want to hear the story about the menage a trois in camp.
One of them was with a famous sportscaster's daughter, and this other guy. I'm not going to name names, but it was. But it actually it was a credit. This is somebody famous.
Frederica Cosell?
No, I'm not.
I just made that name.
Yeah, I know, but that's. I would never bang any of the Cosells. He was an ugly man. I'm sure.
Frederica Cosell.
Horrific. But
how many famous sportscasters are there?
When I was 14, me and my friend David went to the city, and we got prostitutes, and I got some English prostitute. She had teeth missing in the front, and she was blowing me on a stoop, and we got busted by the police, and they chased me away at 14 years old. And she slipped a condom on my dick, and I didn't know. I realized it later that night when I went to take a piss. I ended up peeing all over myself, and for a second I thought I had a venereal disease because I was a kid. All I saw was like this glazed-looking dick. I didn't realize it was a piece of plastic. I was like, oh, what'd she do? And then I realized, oh, that's what a condom is. So my first sexual experience was probably it was 12, 13, and my only prostitute experience, I was 14 years old.
Wow. Impressive.
Yeah, but also, when I was 10, I first time I got drunk, I was 10. I come from a broken home. Like Robert, you were a problem child.
Yeah, I had sex the first time when I was 10 with a 14-year-old, that Tawny Quinn. I was molested in a bush in first grade by the Blouse, and I jerked my friend off in between there somewhere.
Yeah.
Was it Marv Albert?
It was Marv Albert.
All right, should we move on?
Well, what's the question? You never asked a question. You said he was a virgin at 25 and there's a Russian girl. Was there a question to go with
the question was, what's your advice to get him to lay this girl?
Oh, gee,
fuck her.
He's 25. He wants to, have relations.
Too general a question. I don't know anything about this guy.
All right, can we?
I know his English is not good.
He wants to know if he should bang her or not. Is that his question?
Pretty much.
I just read it. I don't know. Hopefully the podcast at comedycellar.com. Hopefully the questions next week will be better.
They got to have a specific question. Okay, I can't just tell you how to get laid with a girl. I don't know anything about you with a girl.
I think he probably doesn't have a lot of experience, so he's hoping that someone can offer him a way to approach this girl to maybe get the ball rolling.
Well, I mean, cocaine is always a good icebreaker.
I would like to change the topic.
Especially if she's Russian, she might, if she's...
Christopher Hitchens, by the way,
the famous atheist. Is that correct?
Who has throat cancer now?
Wait, is that the atheist? No, that's Richard Dawkins.
No, he's the atheist. He wrote the book God. I forget the name of the book about an anti-religion book. That religion is for suckers.
Oh, yeah, throat cancer.
And he writes for Vanity Fair. He wrote an article. I'm sure you know about it. He wrote an article saying that why are women not funny or women are not funny, something like that. And I'm wondering what you guys think about that. Are women? I had it here. Is a female comic like a female fireman? It's not that they don't ever exist, but good ones are very, very hard to come by. And why is that?
I think women are at a disadvantage that they have to overcome.
You think they're funny?
I think there's some.
I think they can be funny, but I think there's a couple of disadvantages that they have to overcome. And I think the main disadvantage is self-deprecation is more difficult for women. I mean, we can accept Dave Attell going up there and saying, I'm unfuckable, doing all these jokes about being unfuckable or ridiculous or fat or bald. Whereas a woman going on stage talking about being unfuckable or fat or bald or stupid or ridiculous is not going to work. Because everybody's going to feel bad for the woman.
That's why.
I think it's a disadvantage. There's certain jokes that they can't do. I think that there's also women. Look about Chris Rock, for example. Let's look at his act where he's
I think there are plenty of funny women comedians. It's just that men don't find them funny.
Do women find them funny?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that women, there's certain things that we don't accept as readily from a woman. Like, look at Chris Rock preaching about black people and then a nigger. I mean, can I say the N-word? And the niggers have got to go. Now, I'm not sure that a black woman would be as readily, as people would be ready to hear a black woman preaching like that.
Wanda,
yeah.
Wanda.
But does Wanda say those kinds of things?
Wanda's very funny.
There are funny women comics for sure.
There are more men doing stand-up comedy than there are women. So and a lot of them are not funny. But there's just there's just a higher percentage of men than women. So there are less funny women because there are less women. Yeah.
Well, but I think that I think the audience. I think women have certain As I said, I think they can be funny. I think they had to be twice as funny. I think they had to be twice as clever, twice as good to get the same effect. I think a man has a certain vocal quality and a certain assurance on stage that controls a crowd, that a crowd is more ready to hear.
Do you agree that a lot of them make the same mistake of being too vulgar and too trying too much to do the kind of humor that men would do, and that's kind of a turnoff because it's difficult to see a woman being so unfeminine.
So you're saying, but you're making my point that women are at a disadvantage because women now, if they're going to be dirty, everybody's going to be like, oh, she's being dirty. But if a man was dirty, it would be accepted.
He's being a man. That's the difference, though, as a woman, because it's the same way they say that women who get ahead possess, in the business world, in the corporate world, they possess man qualities. They have to put on this, they become these super bitches, they become, have all this drive, etc. Those are traditional male qualities. The same thing, if you go back to being in school, the class clown was never a girl. So it was a guy.
Right.
It's just like there are certain things that, in order for women to be successful, they have to take on. What are you doing? Oh. They have to take on these qualities that have already been identified with male personas.
I disagree with that.
We have Amy is hysterical, Wanda's hysterical. All the people who work here are funny.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Bonnie McFarlane is one of the funniest people around. No joke.
Sarah Silverman, I think.
Sarah Silverman is great.
There's plenty of funny women. There's less women doing stand-up than there are men.
Target commercials.
It's the percentages.
He's not saying there aren't any funny females. He's just saying that
we can't hear you, Kristen. You got to talk in the front of the mic.
I'm sharing a mic with Robert.
All right.
He's not saying that there aren't any funny
girl
female
talking to
comedians.
a mic gives me a boner.
It is.
Oh my God!
It's hot.
Everybody is.
That's why they're not funny. Because we look at them and we want to fucking have them blow us while they're holding a microphone. We're just imagining our cocks on the microphone.
We gotta get a fifth.
Anyways, I was going to Brooklyn. Suck that dick. Suck that dick. Suck that dick.
Yeah, they got to create a mic that shoots a load every 10 minutes.
Do you think the quality of a male voice, just like, well, here's a question, a related question. What about the quality of a black voice versus the quality of a white voice? And do black people have an advantage in terms of being funny?
Definitely.
Kristen takes the politically correct line and says definitely not.
Because she doesn't find them funny, which is not the politically correct line.
Right. I don't find black people funnier than white people in general. No, absolutely not. I find funny people funny. What? I don't understand. Maybe I misunderstood the question.
I have two.
I don't think a voice makes a difference.
I have two final.
There's a vocal quality when a black guy's up and goes, "These motherfuckers." There's something funny about that.
Stupid.
I think the topic of female comedians.
I think Dan's just a little bitter, and he's blaming the black people for the fact that he's not getting enough spots here at the club.
I think we.
No, I'm just saying we all have to work with what we have to work with. If you're good looking, you're also at a disadvantage. I think as a
disadvantage.
Funny man. Oh, I think so.
How do you know?
I know because
Robert did get funnier when he gained weight.
I know what I find funny.
What'd you just say?
I said Robert did get funnier when he gained weight.
I gained weight and lost weight 5 times since you know me.
And your funny went up and down. Okay, we have 2 more quick topics. First of all, apparently it came to me that you once had a sex dream about Kristen, and I think we should air this out in the open. And
why does this always come back to me and sex?
That's what you're here for.
I probably had more than one. There's one that I can recall.
Go ahead.
We all raise our hand on this fucking topic, please. Even you.
A sex dream about Kristen?
Yes.
I lived it, baby.
You did? You had sex with her?
No.
Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
Well, we were just looking. We were here at the Comedy Cellar, and we were looking for a place to have sex here at the Comedy Cellar. And of course, there's not a lot of private little nooks and places you can go.
I know 5 places you get a blowjob without anybody seeing you.
Well, not in the dream.
It's
he
for
meant
Robert.
somewhere to give me the chlorophyll.
So in the dream, we go up to the 3rd floor, which does not exist at the Comedy Cellar. But again, this is a dream, so there's some certain poetic license.
I thought you needed real advice.
So we go up to the 3rd floor, and I'm like, I think we can do it here, Kristen. So we never actually had sex. And then Esty comes out.
This is your sex dream?
Well, this is actually what happened. Esty, the comedy booker here, comes out. She's the Israeli woman that books the room, for those who may not know. And she comes out and she goes, "What are you guys doing up here?" And I said, Dan, you're up in 2 minutes, according to the
Go ahead, don't interrupt his story.
I'm pretty sure Esty sent him back.
Esty said, what are you two doing? And I'm like, oh, we're just looking. I made something up. We're looking for there's some files up here. But hey, okay, so the sex dream, in point of fact, was not actually a sex dream. It was more of a blue ball dream. And so far as I never had sex.
Did you have a wet dream?
Wet dream? I'm 2 years old. We don't have wet dreams at my age. Just when this dream.
I do.
Do you really?
Yeah,
really?
my wife's been pregnant for 9 months.
I never had a wet dream when I was. Well, you're supposed to have a wet dream when you're a teenager.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I never even had wet drereams. You know why?
Because you beat off all the time.
Because I got fucked when I was 12. That's fine.
All right, Robert.
Hang on one second.
I got to go on stage.
Robert, take Dan. We'll go one last thing. We'll wrap it up. Dan's got to go on stage at the Comedy Cellar, and the last question is: do hot women make good wives?
No, do hot women make bad wives? Well, I guess
no, I'm sorry. Kristen's right. Do hot women make bad wives?
I think I'm going to make a really good wife.
I read...
You're not hot.
I'll tell you what Hold on.
I'll explain myself.
Hold on. I read something that made me think of this. Somebody, I think it was Christopher Hitchens in that article. He said that dogs, comparing dogs and cats, dogs, we give them food, water, shelter, and
hand jobs.
We give them and affection, food, water, shelter, and affection, and they think we're gods. Cats, we give them food, water, shelter, and affection, and they think they're God.
Right, you get spit on your face.
They see it totally differently. And I think hot women are like cats. When you give them all that attention, Robert, Jesus.
Well, you're fucking grossing me out. Come on,
when you give them all that attention, they take it on themselves. Like they are really the shit, and they think they're the god. And not so hot woman, when you give her, she's appreciative. She thinks you're the god.
Yeah, fat chicks are always better human beings.
He's not equating unattractive with fat.
It's just hard.
Really?
It's just hard to give an unattractive girl a lot of attention. I think that's really
it's hard to give an unattractive girl. But if you're going to get married, don't you feel that a super hot girl? It's so fraught with difficulty. You're going to get bored with whoever you are.
Well, you can't
right?
marry her for superficial reasons. You know, if that's why you're going to marry her, you're destined to get divorced. Then.
Right. So it has nothing to do with the.
How do you tease
First of all, let me back out of what I said to you.
You keep her
okay?
in line. That's what you.
Look, I'm married to a hot woman, and it's hard.
Can we let Robert?
You're not.
Can we let?
None of us are.
You just called me not hot too.
None of us are.
Discredit.
You're not. You're just yapping, and you're not letting me explain my point.
Let
Go
him explain
ahead.
his point.
Nobody talk. Go ahead, Robert.
We're not married to what society says is hot. I'm not. You're not. Kristen's not. Kristen and your wife and my wife are unconventionally good-looking women. Okay? Seriously.
I'm gonna punch you in the nose.
No, you're not. Your wife is. What I'm saying is, your wife is. I think your wife is hot to me. But is she what? Is she,
Have you ever had a dream about her?
Yes.
Have you had a Naturman third floor?
Yes,
dream?
I have. Not third floor. Sorry. It was.
Can I tell you about my wife and how hot she is? By the way, one time my wife and I were watching Tourgasm with Robert, and we're watching. It's an hour show, right? We watched the first 20 minutes of the show. We're in bed together watching the show, and then one thing led to another, and we ended up having sex.
Right.
So then, like a month later, we're talking about this. Juanita telling something about this Tourgasm show that we saw. Oh yeah, we saw with Robert, and he went up in an airplane, and then she goes on, and then he came down, and he threw up, and I didn't remember any. And then I realized she was watching the rest of the episode while we were having sex.
Yeah. Some people close their eyes. Some people watch TV in order to come.
So forget about what.
So I guess that story wasn't funny. Go ahead.
No, that was hilarious for me.
It was honest.
Just to know.
I'm listening. I don't remember that.
Apparently, Robert Kelly vomiting is a fetish of your wives.
Just here's the deal. Yeah. I think that Kristen is pretty to me. She has
but not hot.
She's not conventionally supermodel, Sports Illustrated smoking hot. She's fucking hot unconventionally to me. Your wife is hot unconventionally to me. The hell was that?
Don't worry about it. Go ahead.
Don't worry about it.
He shut it off.
Did you shut it off?
It means it was true. I don't think that noise recorded. Go ahead.
What did you do? Mark a spot where you're going to edit?
Do you really want me to know what it is?
Yeah.
I bumped the computer, and it made a noise to say that there was a vibration on the hard drive.
Ooh, you're a nerd.
All right, go ahead.
All right. I think that hot women, to marry a smoking hot, conventionally Sports Illustrated Hollywood fucking babe is just stupid. It's stupid. If you have any soul in you whatsoever, or any type of compassion, or if you're, what's up, man? If you're at all, you're not gonna be able to deal with that shit, because she's always looking outside, looking what she has outside is what got her to where she is, not what's inside. Kristen had to have something on the inside. She couldn't rely. She couldn't rely. Let me get to it.
She can have 3 things on the inside if we all gang up on her.
By the end of this,
she couldn't rely totally on.
Oh, where you going with this?
Because look, you have great little boobies, but they're not.
Oh, so you're saying if you don't look like
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You can't be hot with super with little boobies.
She can't. I would fuck the shit out of her. That's not what I'm saying. I would lick her poo.
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to make a point. Well, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that she's not going to walk in, show her cleavage to anybody to get extra shit.
But we're not rating. I mean, if you look at Victoria's Secret models now, Secret models, they're not double D women. I mean, they're not like I'm just confused. What are you basing this on? Like a Pam Anderson or an Alexander version?
How tall are you?
Oh, you're basing it on height.
How tall are you? Not everything. I mean, you're going to base on height, weight, bone structure, body structure.
Yeah, the tall women don't impress.
You're my type of girl.
It could be a guy.
Okay, but I'm just saying, you look at someone like a Mila Kunis.
Yeah.
Like,
she's my type of girl.
Right, but
I never heard of her.
She's hot to a lot of people.
Sorry.
And she's, if you just saw her at a bar or something, you'd be like, and she wasn't famous, you'd be like, that's a hot.
Fame makes you hotter.
Fame makes you hot. I mean, you're
look at what it did for Lisa Lampanelli.
You're adding fame into it, which I think adds a whole other level.
All right, so what about hot women in bed?
Hot woman in bed.
Is there any reason to want a hot woman for anything?
Yeah, I mean, a hot woman in bed. I've had girls. They were smoking hot, but I always felt inadequate, and I couldn't give you enough because I know that she could get a fucking perfect guy with a huge, big dick and fucking plow the fuck out of her.
With her huge, big dick?
Well, I'm saying, you know what I mean? It's like, I've had them, and just go down and just eat their pussy till they come 9 times, and then stick it in.
9 times.
I'm exaggerating to make the point and to make it funny. I didn't know you were going to deconstruct the fucking comedy.
She didn't come.
0.02 times.
What I'm saying is, I'd rather.
All right, it was a man, and he sucked his dick.
She faked it to get you to stop.
You got any more? You too?
It was a coma patient.
Jesus Christ.
I think we're just surprised that comedians have depth and have, there's 2 guys in front of us actually saying there's something more than, fake tits and whatever that makes.
Turn the mic
and
off.
they don't find you hot.
No.
And I'm ugly.
You're smoking hot.
And I'm
Let me tell you something. If I was smoking hot, if I had a fucking 6-pack, and I was one of those people,
you would never sleep with Kristen.
I'd fuck the shit out of her. I told you.
Excuse me, Noam.
Listen, but what I'm saying is, I probably would wind up in that realm of people. But look, I was on the train tonight. 99.9% of the people on the train were ugly, including me. There wasn't one. I'd say 100% of the train that I was on was ugly. Conventionally ugly. Couldn't be a model. Couldn't be on the cover of anything. Couldn't advertise anything. Most of us are ugly people. Not that we're ugly to each other. You're a good-looking guy.
You're getting way off the subject.
Yeah, what we learned here is that good-looking people get free cab rides, apparently.
I'm saying that if I was one of those people, maybe I'd think differently. Because I'm not one of those good-looking people, I wouldn't. That shit doesn't really do it for me.
I'd say that having a hot wife is a bad idea. Wasn't there some song, if you want to be happy for the rest, never make a pretty one? It is a lot. Okay, I think we're done. We got to wrap it up. Yes, yeah. He likes to. What?
I'm just saying. I didn't say anything. I'm just saying. I was letting you.
No, you looked at me with daggers. Like I gave up Tom Papa's cocktail party for this.
No, I was letting you wrap it up. Jesus Christ, it was good. I was actually proud that you were wrapping it up.
He's saying that when you're super, super hot, you don't have to develop. You're not forced to develop other aspects of your personality. Yeah. Therefore, you can't do podcasts like me.
You had to fucking learn how to. Look at what you had to do because you're not good looking. Own a business, math, fucking computing.
And I still didn't get a hot wife compared to you.
A musician, you have a sense of humor.
According to you.
You know how to do a podcast, all the shit, and you're still. Your wife is hot to me, but not
Your
to...
wife is hot to me.
Whoa, this is getting weird, but I like
That's
it.
normal.
All I was going to do is add Kristen to the mix.
I want to fuck both your wives.
All right, good job, man. That was good.
You want to wrap it up, Kristen?
How long has this podcast
We'll
been?
wrap it up. Naturman's still on stage, so.
It's been an hour. It's been an hour.
Yeah, the table next to us is so much more famous.
Yeah, the table is growing. Louis C.K.
and for those of you not here, the table next to us is Louis C.K., Aziz Ansari, Jim Norton, and Jim Florentine. None of whom
are willing to do this.
We're not inviting any of them.
Because you have all the mics taken up.
You think they want to come?
I don't know. I'll take mine off. Get somebody on the podcast.
You know what? She's not hot. Why would they do it for her, Rob?
This is a career ruiner.
Get somebody on this podcast.
We're going to see if Robert can troll for celebrities.
We're going to see. We're doing the. I don't know how successful Robert's going to be. Maybe I should have gone over. Oh, Jim Florentine's getting on?
No, he's just going to the restroom.
Oh,
Robert, come here.
Jim Florentine's
come with Jim. Come on. Come here.
Hey, sit down,
Jim.
Robert.
Take Greg. Greg's going to go. Robert's going to.
Jim
Robert and Jim are both on the same.
I love that Louis just said no. That's how you know what type of fame that is.
I can't believe you asked him.
But Louis would have said no even if he needed spots here. If he needed spot money.
You're right. 20 years ago he would have said.
Louis would have said no 20 years ago. But Florentine's a fucking swell guy. Jim Florentine, everybody.
Look, I love doing podcasts. I do my own.
Jim has his own
plug whore.
On Glory Hole.
Jim,
we're all on the same network.
Yeah, Jim has his own fucking successful podcast on gloryholeradio.com. We all do. We're all in the same brotherhood.
Okay, what's the next question?
Ask him why he looks that way. Why do he looks like ask him what happened to his hair.
It's very moist out, so I'm not having a good hair day.
Yeah, what happened, dude? You had the long hair, the longer hair than this.
You're speaking from jealousy, though. I mean, you can't really...
Sorry, I got a cut. What the fuck you want me to do? Every 8 weeks, I get a cut. I don't really think about it. I just say fucking trim, and we'll see where it goes from there.
I do actually have something that I want to ask you about, but I don't know if you want to talk about it. But I've always I've always wondered what you thought. What is it, do you think, because I have my own ideas on it, that makes Howard Stern so fantastic on the radio? Why? You think about all the NBA players in the world, the greatest basketball players. Out of 300 million people, there's 100 NBA players?
Yeah.
And then there's a Michael Jordan who's towers above all of them. Howard Stern is in a class by himself. What the hell is that?
Well, I think it was like the first reality show listening to on the radio. He just brought his life on the radio. Nobody ever did that before. They played 3 songs and went, so anyway, that was Leonard Skinner, and then we got Led Zeppelin coming up next, and that was it. He would go on, oh man, I had to go with my wife to her friggin' some christening, and all the neighbors were there, and I hated him. And every guy that was driving around in a van, digging ditches, or doing anything can relate to that. So listening on, you know what I mean? So that he really struck a nerve.
But people tried to copy him and failed.
Yeah, because there's only a few people that could do that well. You know what I mean? Could be real and and believable, and just say, look, I'd love to have sex with that girl, but I can't. I'm married, and every guy can relate to that.
I feel he has a quality. The only other person I can say who I think has this quality that is Dave Chappelle. Which, Dave Chappelle comes down and does 3 hours for us, talks about nothing. Howard Stern has some quality that he can just talk about anything at all, and you find yourself mesmerized. You never get bored. Even if it's not funny, there's something magical just about the way he talks to you. And I think that, to me, that's the secret. That's what no one else has.
Well, absolutely. I mean, look, he has to do 4 hours a day. Like, he says being a comic is hard, and I'm like, please. I mean, we just, we work on the same material for a year before we throw it away. His is for me to open a mic for 4 hours and talk and try to be interesting. I do a podcast every 20 minutes. I'm like, all right, I'm done.
You do it by yourself a lot, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot harder to do. Look, he has let's not get carried away. He has a team of people. He has very talented people with him from the beginning, writers, comics. He surrounded himself with people that believed in him and were talented enough to help him. He formed a team. You doing that by yourself is fucking difficult. being a stand-up comic, writing your own shit is difficult. Doing a podcast by yourself, you keep 20 minutes, because you're not a sociopath. Okay, seriously. But I think what makes Howard the best is because he's brutally honest 100% of the time. If you have a problem with him, he'll bring it out on the air. If he did something wrong, he'll talk about it. He'll talk about if somebody, the staff, their shit that they got going on, he'll talk about it. Everything is on the table, no matter what. That's fucking crazy. That's legitimate fly on the wall stuff. And he never oversaturated himself by going out there and doing TV shows and a bunch of movies and being in the public eye and out every night so the paparazzi can get him being a fuck up. He goes home. He's a homebody.
He seems to be a conservative guy.
He's a very conservative guy. That actually makes you.
And he must be a workaholic.
He said that on the air. He goes, that way, if you want to see me, you have to tune in from fucking 6 to 11 o'clock in the morning. That's the only time you're going to get me. If you like me, you're not going to get me on a podcast. You're not going to get me on the internet. You're not going to get me on TV or all this other bullshit. You're going to get me when I want you to get me for 5 hours from here to here.
And he was ahead of his time. I mean, he got into radio when radio was still a main source of,
Do you think he made the smart move moving to Sirius?
I got to go. Naturman's going to step in.
Yes, I think he did.
God. He's on his 5th port. I don't know if that's a good idea.
He got to the point where they were editing shows that he did from 3 years ago that they're replaying because they were offensive all of a sudden. So, look, it was a big cash grab for him, but also he just didn't want the restrictions anymore. It's almost like a comic going to a club and the club owner keeps saying, don't say that, next show, don't say this, don't say that. And you go, you know what, I'm going to go to my own little theater and do my own show and fuck everybody else. And
he was the first guy to do that. Not a shock jock, just to be brutally honest all the time. And another thing I have to say is that the Robert Kelly You Know What Dude podcast, you can go and check that out. It's on gloryholeradio.com. The same thing you got this at. It's a fantastic podcast. At Robert Kelly on Twitter, whatever. RobertKellyLive.com. You can get all this stuff and all the information you want to see. I gotta go, motherfuckers.
I'll edit it.
Hi, Robert.
Wait, Robert.
You Know What Dude podcast on gloryholeradio.com.
Robert, you forgot where you are this weekend. You didn't plug that.
Oh, I'm fucking here.
Anyway, I think he might have. I understand he made a lot of money. I feel like a guy like Howard Stern at some point has more money than his grandchildren could ever spend. And at that point, for him to make a move which in the end lowers his exposure, he's not the huge, he's still a huge celebrity, but not in the day-to-day consciousness of people that he once was. I feel like he lost a lot. And I love the show when it was on terrestrial radio. I love it on XM. I don't think it's so much better on Sirius. The fact that he can say 4-letter words doesn't, actually sometimes I wish they wouldn't, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I mean, I think he could just be more descriptive in his dialogue. Well, before he couldn't. He always had to stop because it was too descriptive, whether he's talking about whatever. And it was mostly bathroom humor, what you got in trouble with the FCC. Right. But you have to look back. Like, he also said basically his radio show and his career ruined his first marriage because he was so focused on it. He would get home at like 2 in the afternoon and go right down in his basement and work on the show for the next day and never spend time with his wife, didn't do anything with her. And he said that ultimately ruined my marriage. So I regret that he was just so into his work and his show.
I think the guy's an amazing talent. His book, you've read his books, right?
Oh, yeah.
The books are fantastic. And it's the same quality. You find yourself just reading. It is honest, but he's not the only guy who's ever writing or speaking honestly. There's something magical about him, and that's what, I guess a genius, I don't know. It's something, he's unusual. Nobody else is like him.
I really think, like I said, it was like the first reality show before reality shows on the radio. It was a soap opera you would listen to every day. The producer, Gary, got in trouble. He was getting his teeth fixed. I got to tune in the mall. I got to figure out what happened. They're going to spend an hour and a half on it, and you were glued to the radio.
Dan, we got to wrap it up.
You want me to comment on Howard Stern?
If you want.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. I think that on terrestrial radio, the frustration he had by having the SEC on his ass was actually part of the fun. And I don't think the show gained anything by going to Sirius where he was freer. Because now he's free to say fuck, but that doesn't really help anything. And
they have 7 million subscribers, something like that, on Sirius Radio.
No, combined with XM and Sirius is like over 20. They don't know how many actually listen to a show, but his audience definitely dropped since he's gone there. But like I said, I know as a comic, like he's 56, 57 now. He's signed over there when he was 54. You got to a point where you know what? I just want to do my show. I don't want any restrictions anymore. They were just coming down on him constantly. His company wasn't wasn't backing him anymore, and he just said, you know what, I'm going. I know it was a lot of money, obviously, but he just said, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm definitely not going to be as big as I once was, but this is what I'm doing. I'm sick of this shit. I just want to turn the mic on and say whatever I want.
And I guess if he's happier, he's happier. You know, that's.
I really miss that he's not on E anymore.
That's for a long time.
Yeah,
that was a great show.
That was a great
really
show.
Like that. I thought that was a really good.
We didn't mention he's also by far the best interviewer there is. Nobody else can touch him.
And I have to say interviewee, because when Bill O'Reilly interviewed him, that was actually probably the only Bill O'Reilly interview I ever watched from start to finish.
Yeah, the guy does not get his due in a certain way. He's very, very talented. Anyway, okay, you want to talk about anything or?
No, I'm good, man. Look, I've been on that hot seat on this show, so I know how he's a great interviewer.
He's amazing.
You know, he makes you feel nice.
Do you feel pressured when you go on Howard Stern, though? Do you feel like you have to be more on, so to speak?
Absolutely, yeah, because you know he puts you nice at ease, and then he just so slowly. And if he doesn't do it, then he has a caller do it. And if the caller doesn't do it, then somebody from the office comes in. Jim did, whatever. So, but I love it. It made my career, that show. So I got nothing but great things to say about it.
Amazing, Dan.
No, I have nothing to say. I do believe there was some issue of a $50 honorarium.
Go pay. Dan wants to settle up before he finishes
Dan, what the hell is the matter with you? All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into the Comedy Cellar podcast. You can email us at podcast@comedycellar.com, and we will see you next week.